Right, here we go. Back again. Alright? And today I'm going to cover the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Right? And I'm also going to touch on a cashless society. Because the two of them come hand in hand. That is for sure. And this is from 2 weeks ago in Forbes. Bitcoin's next boom has already begun. Damn straight it has. Now, I reported on Bitcoin before, and we'll get into that again in a minute. 8 hours ago, Financial Standard, Bitcoin Bonanza amid COVID-19 crisis. Yep, damn straight. In Forbes, again, 4 hours ago, Bitcoin halving, a new class of Bitcoin millionaires may emerge. Fucking right they will. It'll be the only show in town eventually. And this is from Bitcoin.com. Is Bitcoin a good investment? Analyst predicts high institutional demand post-COVID-19. Well, it's Bitcoin.com, so of course they're going to say that, right? And it says that the COVID-19 pandemic has led to an unprecedented economic crisis, with the IMF calling it the worst recession since the Great Depression. Companies are missing their earnings estimates, and many traditional investments have taken a hit across the board. The crisis has investors scrambling to find safe haven assets, and more people are now asking whether cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin are a good investment. I wonder, right? And of course, the Japanese analyst that they got in, well, he says yes, that Bitcoin is a good investment. And of course, like I said, of course he's going to say that. He's paid to say that. Right, but it will be the only show in town, and of course it's beyond any restrictions. This is coming out of Cuba. Cuba now has its own Bitcoin exchange despite restrictions, right? So this is getting rolled out no matter what. It's immune to the virus, this sort of thing, so it's obviously essential. But do we really want it? I don't think anybody wants it, but of course we'll be forced into it, and we'll get into that again. But this rings bells with, 5G. It's also being rolled out no matter what, right? So it doesn't matter what anyone has to say about it. This is getting rolled out, and if they say it isn't, well, it is, because although there's not many reports of it, they're saying that installers are being abused. So if that's the case, then it must be getting rolled out continuously, even though we have the spook virus, of course, right? And I'm sure we'll get back to 5G another time. But in terms of Bitcoin, it is, like I said in my video before, in another post as well, forget the markets. Bitcoin is going to be the only winner in the end game in terms of this virus. And this is from a month ago. This is Money. Head of ATM network warns cash could be killed off by end of summer. Right? And that's from a month ago. And they're giving money as we know it till the end of summer. And this is from the Irish Times. Will coronavirus spell the end of cash? Fucking damn right it will. That's from 1 week ago. The Telegraph, 2 days ago, coronavirus could kill cash in months, not years, expert warns. And it's showing you there a photo of two workers contaminating a cash machine because of the virus, of course. And if we look into it a bit more, this is actually just from yesterday. Yahoo Finance, coronavirus marks the real beginning of the end of cash. Yep, it's going to be gone. Right, and why is it going to be gone? Well, because bacteria, right? The new war, the germs. And it's saying that it's raised an important issue. Do we even need physical money once the world returns to a new normal? There's that again, right? It continues. Why are we clinging on to notes and coins, even from a health point of view? It's been pointed out yearly in benchmark reports how riddled physical cash is with bacteria. So it's going to be gone. It's heading that way. It then says the decline in the use of cash and concurrent rise in digital and card payments has been charted for years. Since 2017, debit cards have overtaken all other methods of payments, remaining the most frequently used and accounting for nearly 40% of all payments pre-coronavirus pandemic. Right? So for years, they've basically been setting everything up for this, right? Let's face it. It then says, last year, Consumer Lobby Group, which pointed out that Britain will lose a portion of free-to-use ATMs. The free-to-withdraw cash on each transaction, known as the interchange rate, ranges from 50 pence to £1.99. Companies are trying to recoup costs as fewer people head to a cash machine. Right, so this is where they charge you for taking out money at the bank machine. And everybody hates that. Luckily enough, the one next to me, it's free at the moment at least. But soon none of them will be. So I'd imagine with Bitcoin, they won't have that charge. And that'll be another way that they can rope people in, of course. It then says, before the coronavirus pandemic, there were repeated calls to protect the use of cash, motivated by social inclusion concerns and even nostalgia. In 2018, an independent group reviewing consumer spending called Access to Cash warned that Britain risks sleepwalking into becoming a cashless society, and that, in turn, creates huge problems for the millions of people who live in rural areas or are in a lot of debt. The Treasury also estimates that 2.2 million people are still reliant on cash in the UK, with the elderly, poor and rural dwellers the most reliant. Right, so people need the cash. If they just take it away, a lot of people will be fucked, right? Let's face it. Just about everyone, basically. And especially the elderly and the poor. But of course, they're going to create it so it'll be alright when we move into a complete cryptocurrency. I'd imagine they might even offer to clear a lot of people's debt for moving into it. That wouldn't surprise me. It then says, but taking all this into account, we are now in a new society. Yep, the lockdown presents an undeniable social change in the aftermath. Right? So here we are again, where they're basically telling us, look, there's no going back to the society that we once knew. It's gone. Like someone said, that train's gone now. Right? It then says the coronavirus pandemic has forced on us an unprecedented global experiment on how we live our lives in physical isolation, from how we work to how we tend to our basic needs. Lockdowns have forced us all to adapt. The fight for the survival of physical money has been put aside as health concerns come first. Yeah, of course they do, right? So because of the spook virus, nothing matters now because it's about everyone's health. So any concerns about getting rid of money, well, that's out the window because of bacteria, of course. It then says that for years, annual reports have shown that UK cash and coins are laden with life-threatening bacteria. During the coronavirus pandemic, the World Health Organization advised people to use contactless technology instead of cash, as banknotes may be spreading COVID-19. Surprise, surprise, right? It then says the WHO said that infectious coronavirus could be carried on the surface of banknotes for several days. Right? Now, if you believe that about the virus on banknotes for several days, I'm sorry, but you'd probably fucking believe anything. Right? It then says that, so once we return to a post-coronavirus world, what is the argument for keeping cash? If there are gaps in the infrastructure, or if greater education needs to be done for people to use digital payments, brackets, both issues that have been pointed out by UK Finance and Access to Cash reports, brackets, we should focus on shrinking that gulf instead of hanging onto cash for the sake of it. Right, so so they're saying that we're only hanging on to cash for the sake of it, right? So it's only a matter of time now before we are all, each and every one of us, forced into using a cryptocurrency. And if it'll probably be that if you want to get a job in the new society, then you'll get paid via fucking cryptocurrency. So you have to get it. Right, and of course, it'll head into the chip, and we'll get into that. And I've seen this as well. Twitter founder denies being Satoshi Nakamoto, says Bitcoin BTC targeting global currency takeover. Right, so the founder of Twitter is saying that Bitcoin is basically targeting a global takeover, a currency takeover. And it's Jack Dorsey, the chief executive of Twitter and Square, says that Bitcoin is well positioned to become the next global currency, with the potential to unleash the ingenuity of entrepreneurs around the world. Right, so this is the guy that owns Twitter. He's telling us straight, and he's been linked with being the man behind Bitcoin, of course. And he says, I think the most beautiful thing about it is there's no one person setting the direction, and there's no one person on the other side that can stop it. So we have something that is pretty organic in nature and very principled in its original design, right? So it's organic, and there's no one behind it, right? Would you believe that? I fucking doubt it. It then says, Dorsey highlights the fact that the lack of frictionless payment options, especially in African countries, bogs down progress, right? So you know where that's all heading, don't you? I mean, it's all connected. The Bitcoin, the cashless society, which leads on to the cryptocurrency, which is then paid via, of course, the chip in the hand, right? Because of money and also bank cards and debit cards, well, they will carry life-threatening bacteria, right? So we can't be having them anymore. And I'd imagine it's only a matter of time, really, because it's all going to plan for them. Let's face it. It then also does say, I think as we get a more durable, resilient and global standard, we will see a lot more innovation everywhere. when asked point blank if he is Bitcoin's mysterious creator known as Satoshi Nakamoto, Dorsey offered a swift denial. No, and if I were, would I tell you? Question mark. Right? And of course this is regarding Nakamoto, who is the inventor or creator of Bitcoin. But as I touched on before in another video about Bitcoin, I believe firmly this man doesn't exist. Right? And I think that should worry us really, because if a currency is going to take over the world in terms of the money that we use, then I really think we should have a bit of fucking transparency in regards to who is actually behind it, who started it, and what it's all about really, right? But whether or not we'll get that transparency is another story, okay? Anyway, in terms of Bitcoin, that's about it for the moment, but I'm sure we'll be back again with it because it's all connected. Like I said, the cashless society and Bitcoin are going to come hand in hand, and it is happening for many years now. We've seen different things happening, but it's now starting to all connect, right? Anyway, that is about it. Bye bye.